The UN says there are more refugees in the world today than ever before, all because of wars, persecution, and ongoing violence. The United Nations says global conflicts displaced some 60 million people last year. That's roughly 1 in every 122 people, with the crisis in Syria as the biggest contributing factor. More than half of the world's refugees are children. The UN warns the situation will not improve until, quote, the international community assumes its responsibilities. Some of the Syrians who fled into Turkey this week are now returning home after Kurdish forces drove out ISIL in their town. CCTV's Natalie Carney reports they still face many challenges.
Up on the rooftop of the Muhtar Hotel, located right next to the Akçakale border crossing, a young Syrian girl belts out a poem she wrote. I want my land, I want my school, I want my home back, she says. Rahma al-Hamoud is one of the 2 million Syrian refugees in Turkey, watching her country, and quite possibly her future, be destroyed. Earlier this week, 18,000 more people from in and around the Syrian town of Tal Abyad crossed into Turkey, while another 3,000 fled the fighting in Iraq.
As you can see from this vantage point, Tal Abyad on the Syrian side is only meters away from the Turkish Akçakale border crossing. And it was only a few days ago that thousands of people crashed through this barbed wire fencing, trying to escape the fighting between Kurdish forces and ISIL militants in the small town. Now, while Kurdish forces have risen the flag above Tal Abyad, there are certainly a lot of challenges ahead before any of these refugees can return home.
While Kurdish-led forces may have disrupted a main supply route for ISIL by reclaiming Tal Abyad, many former residents still worry about the threat posed by the militants. Additionally, the Kurdish forces now in charge of the area have allegedly arrested Arab activists upon their return. Yet some are still taking the risk.
The
war is over. We don't have problems anymore. It has been going on for 5 years, but God willing, we will return, and I hope we will recover our house and belongings.
We won't accept the Kurds because they are bad. This isn't their land. It's always been the Arabs' land, and we don't want our country to be ruled by Kurds. We will stand against them.
The Turkish government has also voiced concern about the Kurdish victories along its border, saying the Kurds are taking over areas where Arabs and Turkmen were being displaced. Ankara has long accused the Syrian Kurdish forces of being associated with its own Kurdish guerrilla group, the PKK. But for Rahma al-Hamoud and thousands like her, it makes little difference who controls her town, Kurds or Arabs. She just wants to go home. Natalie Carney for CCTV along the Turkey-Syria border.